Hey, what's going on? This is the Leafs Convo for Oak Ridge Ford in London, Ontario, oakridgeford.com. We're into April. We have great interest rates and great discounts on pretty much everything across the Ford model lineup, but we don't know what's happening with the tariffs, and Ford may drop some price increases any moment. At Norman Oak Ridge Ford, I am your guy. When you support me and what I'm doing within the car business, you're supporting the Leafs Convo for April 4th, 2025. Mike in Buffalo, Norm in London. The Leafs coming off a 3-2 win over the Florida Panthers. I don't know, 7 games to go, Mike, before they potentially clinch the Atlantic. Whether that means anything, I mean, that's in the eye of the beholder. We want to talk a little bit about Alex Ovechkin. 894 goals, 2 tonight against the Blackhawks. It's a win for the Capitals. 1 goal away, Ovechkin is from breaking Wayne Gretzky's record. I'm going to come out with a hot take. I don't give a fuck. Ovechkin's just been there like clockwork. He's like old furniture. God bless him. What an incredible athlete. What an incredible goal scorer. But I would never put an Ovechkin tattoo on my arm. And he's going to break Wayne Gretzky's record, who, as a kid, Wayne Gretzky meant so much to me. But today he's in Donald Trump's back pocket. A lot of Canadians don't give a shit about him. So at the end of the day, Ovechkin's going to take the record. I don't think a lot of Canadian hockey fans are going to care at all. It is what it is. Congratulations to Alex Ovechkin for soon to be the all-time goal-scoring leader in the NHL. And Bob's your uncle. All I want is for the Maple Leafs to make it a couple of rounds in the upcoming Stanley Cup playoffs. Good evening.
Good evening, Norm. Well, I mean, I have no love for Wayne Gretzky, not because because I think he broke all Leaf fans' heart in '93 for a team that a lot of people think would have won a Stanley Cup.
Right.
I think he was a protected player throughout his career, and he was a great player. But I don't think he was the best player of all time. I don't think Alex Ovechkin is the best player of all time. I still think Bobby Orr is, and that's a minority opinion. I give Alex Ovechkin a lot of credit for his longevity. I mean, for him to be doing and having the year that he's having at age 38, to have broken a bone in his leg and come back after 6 weeks, I think was fantastic and an incredible feat. It's not that I don't care. I mean, it's inevitable. He breaks it in the final 6 or 7 games of the regular season, or he does it at the beginning of next year. I think he would like to do it this year. I'll just say this. It's hilarious how Canada will turn on their once great legend because he's golf buddies with Donald Trump. Grow up, you jerks.
Well, there's 40 million people in Canada. There's 350 million people.
I know.
You know there's always been an inferiority complex against the big brother next door. So, Mike, you're an educated guy. You have a fucking degree. Like, think about this for 2 seconds.
Well, I am thinking about it. It's not like he's Charles Lindbergh and he was rooting for Hitler.
But he's not a very articulate guy. He doesn't come out and state his piece. He's very quiet. I don't know. He might be completely fucking drunk all the time and cannot string a sentence together. Like, how is it that you haven't been able to at least come out and say, hey, listen, here's what I'm all about? There's no articulation from Wayne Gretzky. There never has been. And right now, this climate, as you're aware, is palpable. It's very intense, Mike.
And it's a no-win situation for him right now.
Right.
So and he, I've seen him talk about hockey on TNT, and he's pretty articulate. I think he's better than Paul Bissonnette, actually.
As a hockey analyst, but I think the cat's got his tongue on this one. I don't think
I don't think he wants to. I don't think he wants to go down this.
Because Donald Trump will fucking backstab everybody, Mike, and you know that. And again, without getting political, there's a lot of good things about Donald Trump, no doubt. But when it comes to his agenda versus everybody else's, he's going to fuck you over. And that's what's going on right now. And he doesn't care what's going on with Wayne Gretzky. It is what it is. What I'm trying to tell you is that his allure, the myth that is Wayne Gretzky, has been watered down. Like, we're not all on pins and needles, either rooting for or hoping against Alex Ovechkin scoring his next goal. And maybe that's just where we are in today's society, with sports.
I'll just say this. I hate the fact that sports is bled into politics. I think it started with the Four Nations, and that I wasn't a fan of the Four Nations, and I didn't care. Of course I was rooting for the U.S. because I'm an American,
Right.
but I didn't put a lot of stock in it because it was a contrived tournament. It was there to make money for the NHL and the NHLPA. So, I mean, everybody puffing their chest because Connor McDavid scored a goal to win the tournament. I don't know if I would be puffing my chest as much if Austin Matthews had scored and beaten Binnington in overtime. I would have said, that's cool, great. I'd rather put my stock in the Olympics, and even that is, I think, a little bit contrived because you're stopping the NHL season in February when all I think most of the fans care about is the NHL, and in Toronto they care about the Maple Leafs. So let's talk.
I understand. Name one American player better than Connor McDavid.
There's not.
No, he's the best player in the world. He's Canadian, right? It is what it is. He scored a big goal. Had Brady Tkachuk scored that winner, don't you think for a second that Donald Trump and the brass and American fans would not be gloating about it?
Sure, no. Donald Trump would have had him at the White House,
right?
But
could we not just make this a friendly? It should be a friendly rivalry, and I think in the long term it will be. These are messed up times, Mike, and it's between two friends for nothing. Like, it is what it is, and everybody knows that. So in the long term, it'll blow over. But in the moment, we can't deny it. The Leafs win 3-2 over the Florida Panthers.
Yep.
I don't know if that's retribution for the loss they suffered to the Panthers recently. 7 games to go. The Leafs, I wouldn't say have the Atlantic by the balls or anything like that, because there are some really tough games to go. But they lead the division. I was thinking about this. If we compartmentalize these seasons, this is a big deal. So let's start from October 7th on. This is a big damn deal. The Leafs have had a great season. But if we back it up a decade, this is no big deal. How do you rationalize where we're at today? How can you get people excited, but how can you also temper this with some perspective where they are today?
Well, don't pop the champagne yet, because great, they have a 3-point lead. There's 7 games to go. They could very easily blow this. So, they have to beat Columbus on Saturday night. They have a Florida trip where they play Florida and Tampa back to back. They need to win those games. If they win those games, then I think they're in a pretty good position.
Put some perspective on it, where we are today based on this season versus the last 10 years and everything that's happened afterwards.
Well, okay. The perspective is, until they do it,
right,
I'm not going to believe they're going to do it. They need to show me. Again, it's like, now against the Florida Panthers, they played a playoff style hockey game. They got good goaltending from Anthony Stolarz for the first time against Florida, because the first 2 games against Florida, I think he was weak. The first one especially.
Did he solidify his spot as the game 1 starter with that win?
I think he did, but I think that the hook is it's not going to be a slow hook. It's going to be a quick hook. It's going to be a quick hook. I mean, I'm telling you, because I don't think, maybe Craig Berube has the confidence that he thinks that Anthony Stolarz can do it. But if they go down 2-0 in the first round and they're playing Ottawa or Tampa or Florida, you're going to see Joseph Woll in there, because they're going to be behind the 8 ball. So as of right now, they're going to go with Stolarz. Do I think it's the right move? I don't know. But they played a playoff style hockey game. They got production from John Tavares, who continues to show up consistently. And for a change, the top line, specifically Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner, showed up in the third period. Marner scores the eventual the game winner was the Nyes goal, but Marner was the go-ahead goal, and then Nyes scored on the breakaway. And of course, they had to make everybody worry with the goal late in the third. But and I think the penalty killing is still going to be an issue because their penalty killing is unbelievably average. But they got the victory, and that's all that counts. And we would be pissing and moaning had they not gotten the victory. So it was, definitely a positive. I think the one negative here is the injury to Jake McCabe, and they're being very, very uncommunicative in terms of what the injury is. And since the guy has had 2 concussions this year and they're not disclosing what's going on, that makes people worry a little bit.
There's a bit of paralysis in how we view this team, Mike. 9 straight seasons in the playoffs. You and I have been doing a variation of the show going back to, 2009 on a terrestrial radio station, AM 980 in London. In those days, just getting anywhere near the playoffs was a big deal. And now it's 9 straight years in the playoffs with 1 fucking playoff win.
Yeah.
How is it that we can reset our imagination now and believe this something different than what we believed in all the years gone by with teams that may have been better and had positioned themselves better to do more, but didn't?
Expectations change when you draft a generational scorer like Austin Matthews first overall, when you draft Mitch Marner, who's one of the better players in the league, when you have William Nylander, and you go out and spend $11 million a year on John Tavares, and you assemble the defense that finally looks like it's a playoff-style defense, the expectations rise. Great. If you would have told Leaf fan in 2017, at the beginning of the 2016-17 season, that you were going to make the playoffs 9 straight years, the next question they would have asked is, how many cups are you going to win? How many cups did they win? And that it's a big friggin' 0. And that's why I and a lot of Leaf fans out there, as much as anybody's got, the blue and white blood pumping through their veins in Etobicoke or, wherever around the GTA, they need to show that they can actually win. Now they're playing a better brand of hockey, and what I think is a team that can play a playoff style hockey, but they still need to show up and score the goals when they need to score the goals and play tough defensively and get good goaltending. And if they do that, they can win. But even if they win the Atlantic Division, they could be the underdog against the team in the Ottawa Senators who beat them all 4 times in the regular season. Yeah. So when it comes around April 18th, which is the beginning of the playoffs, the 2 words I will say until I'm blue in the face is show me.
Yeah, we love it. Show me, the 2 words that summarize our entire season 7 of the Leafs Convo on YouTube, presented by Oak Ridge Ford. When John Tavares was signed back in 2018, we did a show and I entitled it Decade of Dominance. In a way, they've dominated, but not in the way that we wanted them to.
You hear me? I'll give you 2 comparisons. They're the New York Yankees of the 1980s, who had the best record in the American League East the entire decade. How many AL East titles did they win? Right. 0.
Right.
The Buffalo Bills, who makes the Super Bowl 4 times, 0-4. That's what I mean. It's like, okay, you get to a certain point. I give them all the credit of being good enough to make the playoffs. People in Buffalo who have not seen the playoffs in 14 years would sign up for 9 straight playoff seasons because they're being starved because the organization is in chaos right now. Right. But when you make the playoffs, people expect you to do something with it, and they have not.
Speaking of the Bills, AFC Championship, Josh Allen, arguably the best quarterback in the game, but what is it going to get them? Right? It's so enticing, it's tantalizing, it's kind of there, but is it really enough? And that's kind of where the Maple Leafs are.
Yeah, I don't know how many times we can say it differently to come back to the same thing.
Right.
It's like right now, they're in the driver's seat.
Mm-hmm.
They have an opportunity to win this division. Winning the division gives them what everybody would say is a easier opponent or a weaker opponent, it doesn't mean that that team can't beat you. And the Ottawa Senators have a goalie who's won a Vezina in Linus Ullmark. They have Brady Tkachuk, who is a beast, even though he's playing hurt right now. They have Jake Sanderson and Thomas Chabot on defense. They have good forwards. They can beat the Leafs if the Leafs pull the same act that they do and their sphincter tightens up in the playoffs. They need to perform and produce in the playoffs. And if they perform and produce in the playoffs, then they'll have victories.
Yeah. I mean, this group has produced one, and I'm talking about Tavares, Matthews, Marner, Nylander, one playoff victory in nearly a decade. What makes you think things are going to change? And it's not as if those guys haven't matured and don't want it more, but maybe it's not within them. So 7 games to go in the regular season, Columbus at home, then it's 2 games in Florida. And this is just cruel. Then again, it's justified. It's Florida on the 8th, and then it's Tampa on the 9th in Florida. The Leafs, if they pick up 3 points in those 2 games, there's a good chance they can win this division. The thing is, based on what we know and what we've seen and what we've expected, so what? You win the division, and we know you kind of get the pick of the litter. But it's not as if we've had experience with this team winning a division and going on a deep run and then finally faltering because it's just been too much in the past. They've had the opportunity as the division winner, and it's come to nothing. So it would be nice, but you can see why we're skeptical, Mike. And it's just unfortunate because we can't compartmentalize what's going on. We're looking at things from a bigger picture. That's what we do on the Leafs Convo.
We have every reason to be skeptical. If you're looking for reasons why our thought processes should be different this time around, this is the best defense 1 through 6 that this team has had in that 9-year stretch. Right. The best. The goaltending, no, it's not the best because maybe Freddie Anderson in his first couple years, even though he didn't show up in the playoffs, but the teams he was playing behind were not as good. If those teams were better, maybe they would have won. So Stolarz and Wall have to prove that they can come through in the playoffs. And we have to say, this team hasn't scored as many goals as they normally have, but they still are an offensive team. But that offense has dried up except for one series against Tampa. And when they scored goals, they won. It's producing when you have to.
So what would be encouraging is Florida, Tampa are fighting for something. Montreal is fighting for something. Carolina wants to stay on a positive footing going into the playoffs. Buffalo would love nothing more than to beat the Leafs late in the season to thwart potential division clinching. And then you've got Detroit. Detroit is a kind of an outlier for a playoff shot and a playoff spot, but you just never know.
Detroit would love to beat Toronto just as much.
Right. So the thing is, every one of these bloody games is meaningful, Mike, and if they can pound through it, that is a good prerequisite to the meaningful games that will begin here in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, I don't see an easy game. Remember, Columbus is still in the race for the wild card.
They are 3 points away from Montreal. So this is this just not a good opportunity for the Leafs, whether they win the division or not, to start getting into the playoff mode and ramping it up into game 1? Like, the playoffs really, in a lot of ways, start now.
Yeah, I mean, your first goal right now, and okay, winning this division does not give you a golden ticket like in Willy Wonka to go into the chocolate factory. You're in the playoffs already. What your main goal is right now is avoiding Tampa or Florida, because Florida, even though they're wounded, even though Matthew Tkachuk is going to be at less than 100%, even though Aaron Ekblad will be out the first couple games because he was suspended for a performance-enhancing drug or whatever it was, you could see even without those guys, even without Barkov, who didn't play against the Leafs, they almost won. It was 3-2. It was a one-goal game. So that team, even debilitated, is a bitch to play against. Tampa Bay, the championship pedigree is there. They bring in Yanni Gord, Vasilevsky's Vasilevsky. What you want is those teams facing off with each other and playing a 7-game series, and Kucherov getting beaten up by Tkachuk and Tkachuk getting beaten up by whoever. Right. You want them debilitated and wounded when you face them if you get by the first round. That's the whole thing. You want those teams killing each other, and then you hopefully can beat the wild card. Will they? That's up to the Leafs showing up.
What would it mean to you if the Leafs just, with the best road they've had in years, to be able to accomplish something and not doing it?
What do you mean? Do you mean
again? Would that be justification for this group just not being capable? You have the maybe not the easiest road, but you have the best path in a long period of time. You still are not capable of doing that. What would that tell you if they can't do it? Because there's still this hope in the back of our minds and deep in our hearts that somehow, some way, everything that we've been through in the last near decade has led up to this triumph. But if it doesn't happen, Mike,
I'm not going to go down the road that I saw Doug McClain, former NHL general manager, former Sportsnet personality, who said that if the Leafs lose in the first round, he thinks everybody's going to get fired, meaning Shanahan, Treliving, Berube.
How do you rebuild? Treliving and Berube. Why would you fire those guys?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying I wouldn't go that far, but he did say that. Now, I think if they lose in the first round, Brendan Shanahan is gone. I think Keith Pelly will fire Shanahan. I don't know who would be the next.
Symbolic firing too, and then
it's just it's symbolic of the fact that they went so far and not farther. Sure. And I do think if they lose in the first round, based on what we know Darren Ferris is going to ask for in terms of a salary, I don't think Mitch Marner is coming back. Whether it's up to him or whether it's the Leafs saying we need to go in a different direction.
But we'll know at that point if the Leafs don't get 3 rounds with this guy dragging this team by the scruff of its neck, then we'll know that number 16, it's been a fun ride, but there's someone else out there that's meant to lead this team through the process, or at least be a co-leader through the process, because there's still more leash left for number 34.
Yeah, I just think that everything, the fate of this organization and the future of this organization rides on what they do in the playoffs. If they lose,
Mr. Optimistic here, Spike 11. Mike.
Great, Spike. I hope I'm sure
Leaf fans hope, Spike. I'm
sure Leaf fans hope that you're right. Like I said, I'll be a very interested and entertained observer if that happens. Do I think it's going to happen? I have too much scar tissue for over the last 50 some odd years of my life as a Leaf fan up until I became a reporter, and then I can't really be a fan anymore. Although I fight that off every once in a while. Right. I'll believe it when I see it. So show me. I it gets old for me saying this, but this should be the mantra of everybody in this at Maple Leaf Square. Show me. I want signs saying that.
Are you telling me, and is Spike telling me, that a conference final berth at best is good enough to keep the band together and to keep the hope alive?
Yeah, I think if they make the conference final, I think everybody's coming back. I think they'll pay Marner the money. But
over Matthews?
No, not over Matthews. I don't think there's any.
He's asking over Matthews, and you know as well as I do, if he goes to if he's got 20 points in the conference final and they go to Game 7, that's his ticket out of Toronto is written.
Well, I mean, Norm, again, I don't, in spite of his protestations to the opposite. I don't know whether he wants to stay in Toronto. Okay. I mean, there have been indicators out there that say, well, like I want to stay in Toronto for the rest of this year. But when it comes to a free agent contract, he's going to expect to get paid, probably $14 million a year. If they actually have some success finally, sure. But that's the whole point here. If they don't have success, then don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out.
I'm glad to hear you say that. I mean, I don't know personally if this is enough for you, but that if the team does make the conference finals and everybody has a hand in the mix of that success, at least to the Final Four, then
well, that's just reality.
The band can get back together again.
That's just reality. I mean, that the pressure will be on MLS and if they finally have success to pay the guy what he wants.
But so where are we then? What do we want? OG's converts, like the content, subscribe to the channel. What do we want? Do we want to get close to that and have all of our guys prove that they are that much better than they've been, and then we can keep these dudes together and maybe get back there again, maybe not? Or deep down, do you kind of want a cleansing to happen? You want the team to win. If they either go all the way, that's great. But on the flip side, or the opposite would be something quick and dirty, and prove our point once and for all that this group is not capable. Cleanse and change the personnel. What do you want? Mike, why don't you kind of give us a sense of where you would lie in terms of that argument, and then we'll shut it down.
It's a results-oriented business, and the one thing about the Leafs in the Shanahan era is that we've been promised changes to the organization, and then they come up and they change everything around the group that has been there for 8 of the 9 years. It's like, great, you change the goalies, you change the coaches, you change the secondary players, you've upgraded the defense. You have not changed the core group. And the core group has to be held primarily responsible for the fate of this team. So depending on what they do, the core group will either stay or go.
All right. Spike 11. Anointed an OG if I haven't done it already. I want a conference final berth minimum, and it's possible Florida is tired. Their defense is not as good as last year. You know what, Spike, it's nice to think that, but we'll find out in the playoffs. A tired group with determination versus a bunch of guys who just physically and mentally have never been in a place to get it done. We shall see if that's indeed the matchup we see, and it would be a fun one, would it not? Like the content, subscribe to the channel, OG's Converse. Thanks so much for being here. Mike and I have been trying to get a show together for the last couple of days, and we just thought we would put it together for a Friday night. Alex Ovechkin has tied Wayne Gretzky, 894 career goals. He's going to do it this season. The guy's determined. And did Ovechkin say he was going to retire at the end of the season, or could you see him playing 3 or 4 more years?
Not 3 or 4. I think he'll play 1 more year. Maybe. I don't think he's going to get to 1,000 goals. That would be another 106 goals.
Are you sure? You don't think that ego is driving what he's trying to accomplish?
No, I think he wants to go after he breaks the record and he plays 1 more year. I think his contract has 1 more year. I think he's going back to the KHL. So that's
well, I mean, why would he go to the KHL and do? Like, I knew he'd make money, and he's already making money in the NHL. If he's just hanging around to play hockey, why not hang around for that Gino?
Because he's a national hero in Russia. That's why.
Oh, okay.
Pavel Datsyuk went back to play in the KHL.
That's okay. Yeah, good for him if that's the case. I was talking about this with one of my buddies at work today. It's amazing how you got guys like Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander and players that are reaching 40 or have eclipsed the 40-year-old mark, and they still play. And we wonder why they do it. They've got all the money in the world. It's just they can't bring themselves to do anything else, and I have a respect for that. As a guy who loves baseball and who loves hockey, if I had the opportunity to keep going, even if my impact was lessened, but there was still a place for me, I would do it. Why the hell wouldn't you? Obviously, Alex Ovechkin's chasing something that is unbelievably unique, but the dudes who are still hanging around, We wonder why they do it. They've got all the money in the world. They've got all the girls. They've got the yachts. They've got the cottages in Muskoka. They can do whatever the hell they want otherwise. But they'd rather play the sport they love. And I got to respect that. It's amazing. It'd be nice if the guys on the Maple Leafs had that same mentality. We're not fucking ending this until we win this. I don't know. Maybe something triggers that competitiveness and that ability here in the next couple of weeks and beyond. And wouldn't that be something? Everything we've been through will have meant something if what happens in the next 2-3 months turns into something we haven't seen before and was worth it all. So for Mr. Augello in Buffalo, New York, I'm Norm James in London, Ontario. Like the content, subscribe to the channel. If you're looking for a car, price hikes have not hit yet. Low interest rates at Norman Oak Ridge Ford. I am your guy. Until the Sunday Spectacular, the Leafs Convo for Oak Ridge Ford is out.